Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The time is now 9:55, now turning into 9:65. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the joint meeting of the Brooklyn Advisory Council and the Brooklyn Developmental Disabilities Council. I'm Christopher D. Greif, with two hats on as the Correspondent Secretary for the Advisory Council, Chair of the Outreach, and Vice Chair of the Brooklyn DD Council. I welcome everyone to the Council. Before we start, and before we move on, we do have to follow regular procedure. Before I do that, I am going to remind everyone as you're entering the meeting, please put your name on the chat. Not the chairpersons, because we know who they are. Everyone who's coming in, please put your name. If you're an agency, elected official, or a parent, or an individual, or self-advocacy, please put that name information onto the chat right now. Now, I'd like to remind everyone, housekeeping rules is very important that we must follow today's meeting. The numbers you see there is not correct. We have two groups that almost triples our number. And as people are coming in, we are definitely going to be hitting a high number. So I am going to remind everyone, please keep your microphones muted. If you do not follow that procedure, we will have to put you in the waiting room. But if you continue acting very inappropriately, unfortunately, we might have to ask you to leave. We have to be fair for people to have a chance to speak, and please not interrupt for the speakers or the chairperson or the committee reports, including announcements. It is very important that we follow those procedures. On your chart, for computers, you do have a microphone, a camera. You also have to participate, which is, I said before, it is not correct. That number is different, very different on that. So at this moment right now, you also have the chat. You also have a hand raised for the computer. Now remind everyone, some of you may not have a computer. You might be on a tablet or a cell phone. Please put that in the chat box. Please make sure you use the chat box. You can put your questions in the chat. If you want to be chat your privately, please make sure you put the name on the chat that says the host, which is the Brooklyn Family Support Service Advisory Council, which is the main host. And please be advised that that is another way of me reading the question and not saying your name. Unless you put it into everyone and you say I can say your name, just let me know. If you have a question you want to speak out, please put in, I have a question. And your name. The hand raise will be shown by me, the co-hosts as well, and they will make sure that the hand raise are there as well. So please make sure that we follow these procedures very well. Now, on the bottom of the screen, you do have caption. Caption is available. You can just click on to more, and you'll see caption, which I'm now turning on the caption right now as an example. The caption will be available and the scripts will be available for this meeting today. So please make sure that you use that. Please also make sure that your computer Wi-Fi's are 100%. It is very important to keep the Wi-Fi up so you can hear everything. And note, this meeting is recorded. And I will remind everyone, please keep your microphones on muted. Do not touch the microphone
Chris,
at any time.
you're breaking up a little bit. My co-chair just accept, okay?
Okay, but please let me finish because everyone's microphones are coming on. Somebody had a microphone on. Let me finish. As a reminder, everyone, it is important to keep the microphones. Not all three microphones should be on. It should be 1 to 2, the max. If anyone increases the microphones, it will go to everyone will be unmuted. Please make sure you do that. That is the housekeeping rules. Please make sure your hand raises are there as well. So before we proceed with any other business, let's have a few minutes of silence due to the COVID passing of people and other people. We are almost in a year already, 2 years already. Let's have a few minutes of silence for those people who lost due to not just COVID, but other health reasons. I ask for a few seconds for, I ask for a few minutes of silence. Thank you. Thank you. Now, remind everyone, minutes was sent out. Now, remind you, we do not ask to be added to a mailing list because some of your emails do go to blockage or go somewhere else. We ask you to please, right now there are recording minutes as well as regular minutes. I need a motion to pass the minutes as well as the recording minutes.
I make a motion to pass both minutes. I need a second.
Guys,
Lori, I'll second it.
thank you, Lori. Okay, minutes are passed. Let us move on. My microphone. Let's move on and let's welcome let's start with, first of all, once again, as people are coming in, good morning, good morning, good morning. Both chairpersons, Deborah Greif and Joyce Levin from both councils, have a special report that they want to share. So Deborah, then Joyce, and then we'll start when OPWDD comes in. So ladies, can you both unmute yourself, which I will unmute myself.
Good morning. This is Deborah Greif, my co-chair from the Brooklyn DD Council. Ms. Joyce Levin, are you here, Joyce? I know you're here.
I am.
Okay. All right. Yesterday, I got a big announcement. Well, to me, it's a very important. Tonight, if I'm saying it wrong, my co-chair will assist me. There will be a movie. It'll be an event, as you see here on the screen, about Willowbrook. And it's to honor what happened. And as you know, Geraldo Rivera, it's, as I said, it's the 50th anniversary of the ABC television expose. It will take place tonight at 6 p.m. and you can register by clicking as you see where it is. Now, there's also going to be also a lecture, which you can click on and go to. I just want everybody to know I'm going to talk from a parent, the sibling view. I know that Willowbrook and other state schools, their real intentions were not originally horrible. That's not the problem. And when I finish explaining, you'll understand. It's when the New York State government cut back the actual staff and funding, which makes it then terrible. Our children, as you know, some of them may be in a higher functioning range or siblings too, and some may not be. The problem is you cannot expect one or even two people to try to feed everybody. And you can't expect everybody to do and clean up everybody the way they should. That was the horror. The horror is that unless your child, and you lived in New York City, and I say it this way because the Developmental Disability Councils were founded before Willowbrook was exposed in the councils. If I'm wrong, I will be corrected. But the problem is that before certain years, if your child was under the age of 18, because the parents are responsible to support them, you had to take care of them, or a lot of parents would put them in the state schools instead of giving them help. I know a few agencies started by parents forming them, and I am eternally grateful. What I'm grateful also is that Geraldo Rivera did expose it. I grew up in the NYCHA, we called it projects, and you grew up with a lot of individuals with developmental disabilities. I remember they wouldn't go to school, but I did. And then one year when I was in junior high, they were there. And I'm glad, in hindsight, I was glad. Most of them needed the help, and it was important. So the reason why I'm saying this is important, we should not ever forget what happened. We must not let funding be cut, whether it's for developmental disabilities, and I will also say for mental health and other disabilities that need the intense help. We need to always make sure that the care is there from when they are born to when they become seniors. So I hope everybody can watch this tonight. And now, Joyce, it's your turn. You please add whatever you need to.
Joyce, you okay? Joyce?
Can you?
Yeah, because your Wi-Fi was going out in Staten Island area.
Now we can.
Repeat that again, Joyce.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Would you be able to text me a call-in number?
I'll send it to your text. Okay. Yeah, Joyce, I got you. Just give me a second. Someone's interrupting us. Hold on. That's where you're having a problem. Hold on. I got to remind everyone who's coming on, you need to mute, please. You're interrupting Joyce's system, please. And I'm going to remind everyone that's why we need microphones unmuted. As a reminder, this is why housekeeping rules are important that we must follow. Joyce, can you try that one more time before we proceed? Just want to check.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. That's what happened. Someone was interfering with the microphone. Please continue.
Okay, because I can't see anything, but as long as you can hear me, that's okay.
That's fine.
Joyce, this is Deborah. That we have a slide where it shows Willowbrook, the last great, the expose, and you see Geraldo Rivera in the year that it was exposed. So I just want you to know the slide is up, and they give us the information. It also tells you when that's taking place tonight, 6 p.m., where you can click on. Also, there's the memorial lecture, they said, and they give you the link.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. I would encourage everybody to...
Hold on once, Joyce, hold on. Someone's interrupting us again. Madam Chair, Deborah, can you please mute?
No problem.
Okay, because now I'm getting a little not happy right now. This is not nice and not fair. Joyce Levin is the chair. Let her speak, please. If you have a question about this, please wait to the end. Otherwise, I'm going to remind anyone, interrupting the chairperson is in violation by Robert's Rules of Order, and that means you're out of order. If you cannot follow that procedure, you will be going to the waiting room. Joyce, can you please continue? I apologize for that interruption again.
Oh, that's okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Okay, so like I was saying, and Deborah was saying that that movie is on tonight, the lecture, and anybody who can should really, I encourage them to log in to see that. It's something we can never forget. And although we have moved forward quite a bit, we can never forget what happened at Willowbrook and the inhumanities that were done. So it's important that people see that, and then throughout the year, the Willowbrook Mile that's being worked on in Staten Island on the grounds of where Willowbrook was, it's important to remain, focused and get the information. So again, that will never be forgotten. Okay, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Joyce. Does anyone have any questions about this? At the same time, give you guys a few minutes just to remind everyone. This was emailed out last night. This information is here now. Please make sure that it is also going to be on the YouTube channel. So please just put in the year of the rule book. You can also add the 50-year anniversary. That should be on the YouTube channel as well. I see we have questions on the chat. I am going to pop into the chat, so give people a chance. Okay. I appreciate everyone's putting announcements, but I still see a private chat coming in. Okay. This question is for Deborah and Joyce. I agree with both of you ladies, and I thank you for both of you to team up and working, explaining this very well. It's nice to see both chairs are working together, and this is a group who speaks Espanol, so I'm translating. They're giving me the sentence carefully. I will try to watch this tonight, but I think it'll be easier for me to watch it on the YouTube channel since Mr. Greif, you gave us where to go. We thank you so much, but we do want to thank Ms. Greif and Ms. Levins to bringing this up right now to our attention. This is very important to learn for history. This should be also added into schools to learn history. Ladies, do you want to answer that question?
I will. Okay. Since I know the group is, and this is my teeny Spanish, gracias. You're right. If watch it where you can get it, if there's translations, which I hope there is, maybe on YouTube where you have it. It's really important because I was alive during when there were these state schools. And we need, when we say, Joyce and I both say, don't forget, and why you must continue advocacy. Remember that when you cut funding for people who are vulnerable and the staff that helps them, this is what happens. It's not a maybe it could happen. No, it did happen. It has happened and will still be continuing to happen. And you must make sure that you are completely understanding so that you can actually continue the important advocacy. Now, and as everyone knows, I'm no youngster anymore. Yeah, I dye my hair blonde because I like it that color. But I need the younger parents. I don't care what language you speak. You must continue the fight. I took over from the older families who actually had the choice of either putting their child in Willowbrook or keeping them home. I've seen what has happened both ways. Thankfully, in New York State, we do have family support services. We do have services for residential placement. I'm not talking about state schools. I'm talking about like individuals can live in their own apartment, group home, whichever is appropriate. That's what I want everyone to know. I do not tell you what you think to do, what you should do. You know your child the best. But remember, you have options that when I was growing up and my mother was growing up, didn't have. As I said, not until 1973, the children with disabilities could go to school. And before anyone says anything else, before 1973, if a child had a normal, what they claim, normal cognitive levels, maybe had a heart condition or had certain, and I am using the term that was done to my mother. So before anyone yells at me, I'm telling you what the labels were in the 1930s. They were called, in New York City, cardiac and cripple classes. They were taught the same thing as their non-disabled peers, but because they couldn't climb up and down stairs, most of the times they were in schools where it was a main floor. When my mother went to high school, the oldest Eastern District High School had an elevator. She told me, and I'm not going to take too much time, but I want everyone to know, don't run away from the labels because you need to learn why the labels were done that way so we can evolve. And by watching this, it will give you an understanding why you hear us all say, do not ever forget. So, Joyce, do you have anything you want to add?
Can you hear me?
Joyce, we can hear you loud and clear. You're fine. I can hear you fine.
Okay. No, Debbie, thank you. I don't have anything to add. Again, I'm just having some really bad connection issues.
Joyce, check your text.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I'll go to the next question. I'll go to the next question. I have to go to the private chat. So sorry. This question has also been added in. They say, give me 1 second. So no, because they spelled something wrong, so they're correcting it. Okay, there we go. Thank you. The question is, there's a question. This is on tonight at 6 p.m., which I can say yes. No, you don't have to register if you don't want to, and I'll answer that question. But it's also available on the YouTube channel, which you see in the bottom of the screen. As I said before, this information is available. You can just type in Google or Apple and just say Willowbrook 50 years anniversary. And you technically, if you Google it, it pops up like a dictionary book. It's like it will pop up like you've never seen, like the picture I got today. I was like shocked to see this picture up already. But that's an option you can use. So that's 3 questions I got done at the price of 1. And to remind everyone, if you have a question, you can raise your hand or put it into the chat here. I'm reading the private part, but I have not seen anyone with the everyone chart one. So I'm reading the private one. This question is for Joyce and Deborah. And I think this is a good question. Can we bring back that speaker again that talked about the Willowbrook? Because I think it's important that we talk about this a little more and try to invite more elected officials to know the history of Willowbrook. I feel like a lot of these elected officials don't understand our population or any type of disabilities. They make promises when they don't keep. And just know, everyone, I'm just reading what she's saying, so please don't give me
Okay,
looks
I'll
like I did
answer
something
that.
wrong.
I'll answer that as a parent. First of all, parents, one thing I will say, we have to understand one thing. We're not the only group advocating for funding in New York State and New York City. That doesn't mean I'm saying you should stop. No, of course not. But it's not just advocating. You have to also educate the elected officials. We are lucky now. There are some elected officials who are parents or siblings, and they understand the issues. But to be a really effective advocate, you first, besides educating yourself, you have to also understand you need to let your elected official know, hi, my name is, okay, I'm going to use me as an example because I'm allowed to. I have my new city councilman, Mr. Ari Kagan, completely knows about that I'm a parent of, and I'm not talking about being a chairman, I'm a parent of a child with developmental disability, and I have a sibling who has multiple disabilities. And I myself have different disabilities. He asks me all the time, and I appreciate it, please send me information so I can constantly let my staff know, because he would love to be at every meeting, but he can't because he's representing us in government. So it's very important, as you see, I make sure that the staff of all the elected officials who are mine first know who I am, who my child is, who's my family member, and why am I doing this. I just let them know I'm their constituent. My child is their constituent. And I also let them know, as long as your child is 18 and we're all American citizens, that's the requirement, you vote. You don't have to tell them what party you are in, just let them know you vote. But don't yell, don't scream at them. Work with them, educate them. If you want them to make sure they constantly advocate for the more funding so that we have better services and we have staff that's paid so well that they don't want to leave us because they can afford to stay. And by explaining to them and even let them know about Willowbrook, you have a better chance of us getting the funds. You're right, they're not going to all understand because, you see, we're not their only constituents. But you need to keep educating them. You need to let them know what the issues are and also give them a few solutions, because that's how we get the funding and the progress. So, Joyce, do you want to add anything? Because I'm mute right now.
Joyce, you there? Joyce, can you unmute? I think she's having difficulties, so we'll.
Can you hear me?
Yes, just that your mute button wasn't on. You were muted.
Okay. Okay. No, definitely people, we can ask Diane Buglioli to come back and do a presentation at some point. That would be much needed. And we can make sure that the elected officials are aware, so hopefully they can attend and or send a representative. That's a very good suggestion.
Ladies, just
Joyce?
to let you know.
1 second. I think that if we do this, I would like us to do a separate meeting to give her the full time, because there's a lot more she could have said to us. And as we also we do record it. If the elected official and their staff couldn't be there, we can make sure that they get it by sending it to them. So I would that's my suggestion. I want them there, but I also want to make sure she has the time to really speak and explain, because she had a lot more she could have told us. And I would like to give her the full time.
Yes, and she has more she can update us on what's going on for the year in terms of the anniversary of Willowbrook. So yes, I will be in touch with her and see when she's available.
Hold
I
on a
appreciate
second.
that.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Susan Flores, your microphone is on. I'm going to remind that again. This has got to stop, guys. Please stop playing with the microphones again.
This is Deborah, the chair. I understand, but
hold on. Stop.
We need them muted.
Hold on. I'm going to remind you guys. I understand your Wi-Fi is out, but unmuting and muting is not going to solve it. You must keep your Wi-Fi on in one place. That is not us. That is coming out of your end. Please mute. It's going all. I understand you're losing Wi-Fi. That is not us. That got to be in your end. But I am going to remind people, mute yourselves, please, because if I have to press the mute button to everyone, means I lock everyone on mute. Please, I don't want to do that. I want to be fair. That was the last question on that, but I just want to double check because there's a. Okay, no. So those were all the questions. Since no one had their hand raised, so I will then proceed to the next order of business. Actually, we have 6 minutes because Wayne should be popping in. So maybe it'd be best if Deborah, can you do your report, and then Joyce, we could do you after OPWDD, because we have you linked to the subcommittee report as well, because we have 6 minutes.
No problem. I'll do my report. Well, as
Hold
you
on a
heard,
second.
what?
Go ahead.
There's anyone there from OPWD that needs to go first, I will let them go. Okay. But as the chair, let me say that it's been, as you know, we've been working together with OPW, with the Brooklyn Deedy Council. I just want to update you a little bit on a few things from the Statewide Advisory Council. Yes, I've been saying Chris Balegia's name correct the whole time. Oh, thank God for me. I'm glad. We had a meeting because we're trying to consolidate and update the information given to families when they come through the front door. We want them to understand the basics of family support, but we know that when you first are there, all this information is thrown at you and it can be very overwhelming. So we're trying to consolidate and make sure you know where to go, how to find things, and we're there to help you. So Chris and I were very, very pleased. You know, we were the parent members on the committee meeting, and we're meeting regularly to discuss how we can keep the paperwork updated, the information in such a way that the families can understand. We also want families to understand something. Yes, we have a local, there are 19 councils, but we have our own local it would call Brooklyn Developmental Disabilities Regional Office. We have decided, because unfortunately we know staff in OPW changed, people retire, or they have to take on. Whatever the issue is, we agreed that we're going to keep the OPW DD 1-800 number, because the staff there is trained to, and they hear your questions, your concerns, and then they get back. They find the right person in your local area to contact you. So that is something I want everyone to understand. If you have an issue and you're not sure, it's okay. I don't get upset when they say, I'm having trouble understanding or finding things. And you're having trouble also maybe because your computer, laptop, or phone, whatever. You have to call the 1-800 number, say, for whatever information, call them. But please make sure you give them your name clearly and repeat your phone number at least twice, not fast, but enough for them here. 90% of the time you will be talking to somebody. But in case there's more than one certain people on, they leave you a message, please give them the message, but please be clear and concise. It's to help you. I want you and your family member to get the right and appropriate services. I am not telling you what appropriate services there are for you, because I'm not the child's parent. I only have one child and a sibling, and they do grow and change, and things change. So I just want to make sure that you're getting the help you need. And no, we will not be upset. You have the right to ask questions. So that's my report. When we have more statewide meetings, I will inform everybody. But due to the fact of COVID, and we do have a new commissioner. She's an acting commissioner, but she's coming up to speed because, as I said, it's not just New York City, it's the whole state and we parents have lots of issues, and we're trying to make sure that the addendum for reimbursement is reworked on where more parents can have a voice. No, I have no extra updated information, but I will tell you, the statewide parents who are representing their local councils, we are working very hard to make sure whatever changes that can and will come to any family support service will be done in a way that will not hurt or affect any families. Yes, of course, we're also with the agencies. We want the agencies to be able to continue to serve us the best way possible. So when I have more information, I will share it with you. But at this moment, I don't. I will, if anybody has any questions or want to speak to me later, they're more than welcome. I did see.
Can I suggest right now, because now Winnie's coming in right on the schedule,
Sure.
I will suggest that we put that on outreach update, because that would be a perfect time.
Sure.
Because you do have a little more, so we'll save that for later.
Yep.
And I'm going to remind the people on the chat has questions. I didn't forget you. I will do it after, as Winnie is just pulling in. I want to make sure, because she has a timetable. So right now we're on schedule. So Winnie, are you here now? I heard you coming in. I think someone who put you in makes my job easy.
Okay. Just want to say one thing to Winnie, and then I am muting. Welcome, Winnie. I appreciate that you will be here to update us on the budget and everything else. And we put up your lovely picture. See?
Thank you, Chris.
See, Wendy, he does that to me too. Okay, Winnie?
I'm at the Capitol.
Yes.
I'll say this.
It's Capitol.
The reason, no, actually, this is a newer picture. So I'm using the new 2022 picture. So
Very nice.
And,
Okay.
let me introduce Winnie.
I'm muting. Thank you, Winnie.
Thank you. Winnie is the part of the interagency council. Winnie, I have to explain to you because we have groups here. So I'm just letting you know that we have groups who speaks Espanol. So I am trying to let them know who you are, because now they're all saying, that's really Winnie? Oh my God. I'm like, yeah. Now I just make them laugh. That makes me feel better. Now, at least it's good. Yes, folks, this is Winnie Schiff, the Associate Executive Director of Legacy Affairs, the Winnie. And yes, that's her picture. Yes, she still looks young. Winnie, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Krista and Deborah and everybody. My pleasure to be with you. And I'm so sorry that I don't have that much time. Unfortunately, these are our lobby days. And so we have appointments with central staff and legislators trying to drive home the stuff that I'm about to tell you right now. So hopefully I'll speak quickly, but understandably, and that there'll be a little time for questions. And I do have to jump off at 11 for my next meeting. But I want to begin by saying that New York State's in a great fiscal position. We have a new governor who hears us in kind of all of the places where we need to be heard. We have a new commissioner who we're very, very optimistic about, and also appears to be really committed to helping us to do things that we haven't been able to do in forever. So it's a new day. It's really exciting. The legislature's with us. We got a great budget to start with, but we need a couple of other additional things. So we're still asking for more, of course. And I'll explain some of what's in there and what we're asking for now. So under OPWDD, we were very, very fortunate and grateful for a 5.4% COLA. And this COLA will be on all rates and, across the board for providers. And it will really give us the ability to do all of the things that we haven't been able to do in 12 years now. We got a 1% COLA last year, which was great. It was a turning point, and 5.4% this year. We have never gotten such a big COLA before. So this is amazing. It will allow us to pay for health benefits, for all staff salaries who are the frontline workers who were kind of not included in some of those American Rescue Plan dollars. We got 20% increases and vaccination bonuses and longevity bonuses that are yet to come out, but they're planned to come out for existing staff who are DSPs. But for all of those other frontline workers, there was really nothing. So the 5.4% will allow us to raise all those other staff salaries and keep on providing good health benefits to staff, and do all of those other things that are required for us to provide quality services to people and their families that we've been not able to do for the past 12 years. The next thing that the governor put in her budget was $3,000 bonuses for frontline workers. This also will include not just DSPs, but all of the frontline workers, although we don't really know exactly which job titles will be included. That's yet to come to us, but it's up to $3,000 based on how many hours you work. So $3,000 would be for a full-time staff person, but there are parameters on the money, and we want to make sure that as many staff are eligible as possible. So right now they're saying that you have to work at least 20 hours, and for full-time to get the whole $3,000, you have to work 40 hours. But many of our full-time staff don't work 40 hours, and many of our part-time staff don't work 20, and they would be completely excluded. So we want to change that to a minimum of 15 hours to be eligible for a part of the $3,000, and for the full-time equivalent to be more than 30 hours to account for the schedules that our staff have, and get the bonus to as many people as possible. So this year, there's also $2 billion that sort of hasn't been spoken for yet. And there's ongoing discussions about how to use that money. Bonuses are great, and temporary increases are also great. But what we really need is continuing increases for staff. We need higher in-rate increases. So basically, it's a correction that we have to make now for providers' inability to keep current on salaries after no increases for 12 years. So we want any discussions about additional increases that are permanent for staff salaries to include DSP salaries and all of our other frontline staff worker salaries. Another thing that luckily doesn't come out of the OPWDD budget is there's a bill that would establish a refundable personal income tax credit for direct care staff. And we want this also to apply to all frontline direct care staff. So it's not in the budget right now. We would love to see it included. It would provide up to $5,000 for staff with household earnings $100,000 or less. So even if a DSP was married to somebody who, earned $50,000, if their combined income was less than 100,000, they would be eligible for the $5,000 refundable tax credit. So that's $5,000 of cash on top of everything that you've earned, and it doesn't come out of the OPWDD budget, which is actually key because there's a lot of competition for the funding on the OPWDD in the budget per se, and also during budget season. I probably should have started with this. The governor comes out with her proposal on January 18th. Everybody scrambles to figure out what's in there, which is what I'm reading to you now, and what's not in there. And then the one house budgets, one for the Assembly and one for the Senate, come out. And what we need to have is anything that we want that wasn't included in the governor's budget, it's got to be in one of those two one house budgets in order for it to be continued in or considered in the final budget. So at the end, they have a certain amount of money that's divided up for each of the areas. So there's a little bit of money for mental hygiene, which includes OMH, OASAS, and OPWDD. So we're all fighting it out for that. You know, usually it's $15 million or even less. And education and health have the most extra money to divide up for priorities that were not included in the budget. And we have a couple of asks on those tables too. And then there are, you know, all of the other areas in the state budget that get little bits of money here and there. So this refundable tax credit would come off of extra money on somebody else's, what they call table. So that's a good thing for us. There's another thing in the governor's proposal. And, you know, I think if you're a provider listening to me, you know, we've had a difficult time finding nurses forever. So there's this Nurses Across New York program, which is a tuition loan forgiveness program for nurses. And we want OPWDD and OMH providers to be eligible workplaces for those nurses to have the tuition loan forgiveness. And that will certainly help us to recruit and retain nurses in our programs. There's two proposals for capital funding, another thing that has been neglected for a long, long time. One is a $50 million allocation for the Nonprofit Infrastructure Capital Investment Program, and we are eligible for that. But then there's another statewide healthcare facilities transformation program. So our Article 16 clinics and our Article 28 clinics are eligible for that money, but regular providers under OPWDD are not. That pot is $450 million, and we want to be included in that as well. So that's another ask for the budget. Then under the category of recruitment and retention, and really it's about pipeline for new DSPs, what we want to see is an expansion and a replication of programs with BOCES and community colleges and SUNY for All, which is currently happening under OPWDD to create that pipeline for DSPs. There are two bills that we are feeling really good about. They're moving through the legislature quickly, and they might even be included in the budget. And one is for a credentialing program for DSPs, and the other is for a career ladder, and also to provide community college credits that are paid for DSPs who want to get degrees. And then two more things under, not really about pipeline, but one is to have the state advocate on a federal level for a new standard occupational classification for DSPs, so that right now we're lumped under the category of home care workers. And so it's hard to pull out information that would help us advocate for higher salaries and other recruitment and retention initiatives. But if we get a standard occupational classification just for DSPs, then we'll have that information that we can use for advocacy. And we also need regulatory reform, and we've been talking about this forever. But we submitted actually a detailed request for reform proposals in the areas of hiring, training, and evaluation of staff, supportive apartments, medical and nursing documentation, and emergency drill streamlining, among other areas. So it would be great to reform our regulatory situation so that staff would have more time to spend providing services to people. I'll stop for a minute and see if there's any questions before I move on with other OPWDD initiatives.
There is no questions at this moment, Winnie. They're all saying to me they're waiting for you to finish because they know you have a timetable.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
No
All
problem.
right, so under residential services, we have a couple of requests. One is something that we ask for all the time, and that is for priority to be allowed for people living at home with aging parents, and for people who are living at home but their needs surpass their family's ability to care for them safely at home. So those guys should receive priority, and even if they're not in that emergency classification for residential placement. Also, young adults who are aging out of residential school placements, and that would free up new opportunities for children to get into residential school placements. The other thing about schools is our CRP programs, the Children's Residential Program and residential school rates have been really, really low. And because of that, we are sometimes unable to support people with very high needs, and they end up being sent out of state to residential schools, not in New York. This is a problem for a number of reasons. We don't get a 50% Medicaid match. We don't have any oversight over what's going on out of state. And it also, their tuition rates are really, really high, and it's 100% paid by the state. So we could support probably 2 or 3 kids in placements in the state for every one that we send out of state. Plus, the children would be closer to their families, and it's just a win-win for everybody. So we'd like to see those rates be increased. And then with regard to placement in residences and the residential waiting list or registry, we want to first make sure that OPW can provide families with clear information about where they are on the state's registry or waiting list. I think some families think they're on the waiting list and they're not even on it, or they think that being on the waiting list might assure them a place when they need it, and it doesn't necessarily assure you of anything being on that list. So we want clear information for families on what it means to be on the list and how to get on that list. And then we want to enact statutory authority, which would mean in law, for OPWDD residential providers to accept any individual who requires OPWDD supervised residential services, is suited to that particular provider's residential opening or vacancy, and is enrolled or eligible to be enrolled in the OPWDD HCBS waiver. And then we need new funding to fully support the people who would be placed in those opportunities. Currently, the situation with residential placement is really difficult because you've got to be pretty much in an emergency in order to be considered for a placement. And that is clearly not the best way to go about it, especially if there's no easy match to be made between a person who needs an emergency placement and a vacancy that's available. It shouldn't just go unfilled. There should be somebody who has that opportunity who needs it. And then, of course, everybody's getting older, and I appreciate your comment on that. I still look okay, Chris, very much, but we all need to be thinking about aging in place, and people in our programs are living longer, and providers need to be able to make timely changes in order to keep people in their homes. If you live somewhere 20 years and now you need a place with wider door openings or a lift or additional staffing, that should be made available so that you can stay in your home. You don't have to move somewhere else, especially a nursing home. And then the last thing on the OPWDD list is the commissioner did say that we are going to have $2 million in grants for providers to actually provide training programs for people so that they can find employment. And what we would like to see the $2 million used for are grants to be awarded to providers upon approval of proposals in a broad array of areas, not just like a training in a certain particular skill. That way, the creativity and the ability to build on the individual provider's expertise can be maximized, and we can have all kinds of good creative pilot programs for getting people into jobs that they love. And that's OPWDD. Now I will tell you about our state education requests. So first of all, there was the bill, and we advocated very hard for that bill to be signed, and it was vetoed. And the bill would have provided tuition equity with public school district funding. So this year, the bill would have given us a 7% increase for our schools, and those are our 4410 preschools and our 853 school age programs. But it was vetoed, and in the veto message, the governor said, we recognize that your schools have been underfunded, and we know that you should have equity, and we are proposing to give you 11%. It's not technically in the budget, but it's going to be administratively accomplished between the governor and DOB, which is Division of Budget, the finance arm of the governor's office. So we will get that 11% increase for our schools, and that's wonderful. Instead of the 7, we got a 4% increase for this year, and the 11% will be for next year. But because of the way our schools are funded, the tuition methodology, either our schools aren't going to be able to get the 11% in the first place, or if they do get it, they won't be able to spend it. So there are a lot of, it's very technical. So the first part of the problem is that schools have to spend virtually all of the money they get in the tuition year that they get the money. And if they can't spend it all, because maybe they have terrible teacher vacancies because of the low salaries that we have, another, same situation as with DSPs, right? But it actually is a little bit worse in our schools. Then, we have salaries that we can't pay because we have positions we couldn't fill, and we can't spend the money that way. So that's one of the major examples of why we're not going to be able to spend all the money. Whatever we don't spend doesn't get included in next year's tuition rate. So they might give us 11%, but if we can only spend 6% of it, then next year the 11% will go away and we'll only get 6%. Now, what I didn't mention about the COLA is that 5.4% cost of living adjustment on OPW programs, that goes into our rates and it never goes away. So their 5.4% increase continues forever, which is why we can use it for salaries and ongoing expenses. 11% is supposed to act the same way, but if you can't spend it all, you don't get it again next year. And then there's 2 other reasons why we either won't get it in the first place or it'll be recouped. And one is that we have to spend 70% of the money on direct care expenses like teacher salaries and 30% of the money on indirect costs like rent. So if we've got 2 vacant classrooms because we don't have teachers to cover them, we still have to pay the rent or the mortgage on those 2 classrooms, but we don't have the expenses on the teacher salaries to pay because we can't fill the jobs. So that throws off that 70-30 split, and the money will be reduced to maintain the 70-30 split so that we have a problem paying for our fixed costs and money is recouped in the long run. And then the last thing is that because we haven't been paid enough, many schools have tuition waiver requests into SED, the State Education Department. And if those requests haven't been completed, they have interim rates instead of final rates. If they have interim rates, they're not eligible to receive any of the increases at all until their rates are approved and are final, called prospective rates. So some of our schools that are waiting to have their rates approved won't even get a penny of that 11%, and they still have to spend it in this tuition year in order to see it next year. So they have to spend money that they are not even going to get until sometime in the future when their rates are approved. It's very complicated and it's completely ridiculous. And it really highlights the reason why we need tuition rate methodology reform that will both take away all of these ridiculous parameters that actually reduce the money that it looks like we're getting, and also to provide some predictability, and so that we can get equity with what school districts get. The current methodology has given us way less money than school districts have gotten to support kids that need more help than the school districts are able to give. So it really makes no sense. And the last couple of things that we're asking for are under the Department of Health. Actually, I want to mention very fast that we're also looking for a doubling in the Access VR extended supported employment services. There's been a $10 million pot for decades, but the need has increased. More people need extended funding, and the rates are really, really low. So we're asking for a doubling, a $10 million addition. And that, like I told you before about the tables, that'll come off the education table, and 10 million is a small amount for that. So way back when, in 2011, the Medicaid Redesign Team, or MRT, made the suggestion, number 26, to limit the number of therapies in Article 16 clinics. So it's PTOT, speech, and mental health counseling. And if a person needs more than the average number of therapies, average among their peers, then the clinic will either not be able to bill for it or get a cut across the board for providing the additional therapies that are above and beyond the average. And it's foolish to limit us to an average because some people need lots of PT and OT based on their disabilities, or they need a lot of speech, or they need a lot of mental health counseling, especially during COVID. So all of this would reduce across the board what our clinics are able to get paid to support the people who need the services. And this year in the budget, all of the other utilization thresholds on clinics were actually repealed. So ours should be repealed as well. And then under Department of Health, the early intervention program, which hasn't received an increase since 1994 when the program began, we're asking for an 11% increase for early intervention that matches the preschool increase. And that's something that is being asked for by advocates in, across the state for early intervention. So we have good momentum on that one. And the other thing that I'll just mention is that the governor surprised us and signed the Covered Lives Bill for EI this year. This is something that's been introduced year after year after year. For the first time, it passed both houses this year. And we thought for sure that the governor would veto it because insurance companies wouldn't want to have to pay for early intervention, but she signed it. So that brings in additional money that insurance companies were finding ways not to pay their fair share, and now they have to. And we believe it's a fresh start for EI, and an 11% increase would really help that program. And those are all our asks. And I know I spoke fast and I said a lot of technical things. So does anybody have a question?
I will start with the both chairs. So who wants to go first? Deborah, then Joyce.
Hi, Winnie. Winnie, I love hearing the budget, but I just want to say something. I got a letter from Metro Plus Medicaid the last 2 years saying that I am not going to be limited anymore to how many visits for OT and PT and other therapies are going to be needed. So I'm going, and also I've gotten the letters from Medicare that they're not going to limit them either, especially if they have Medicaid, straight Medicaid too. So can you, once I find the letters, I'll scan them and email them to you, but they did allow us to get it.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm thrilled beyond belief because since I broke my foot, I have to constantly go back.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, the one problem in New York City I'm talking about the preschools, is the way the New York City Department of Education has made limits because they steal our staff and they steal the staff that's trained, and then they don't follow the way they should. Well, we don't have to go in that because Christian, but the point is that we need to let the governor know they need to be punished for that. You do not do that if you know you cannot, and they don't. And de Blasio, the former de Blasio, thank God he's gone, but we do have a new mayor. We have to educate him because remember the man has our mayor has dyslexia.
Yeah.
And I used to tell him regularly that New York City Department of Ed, they do not test children for dyslexia, and I used to tell him where I used to send families to either the SUNY College of Optometry, New York Eye and Ear, and even Manhattan Eye and Ear. Because I know there are others, so please everyone don't tell me. I'm just telling you, those are the three that I worked with. And the reason I sent them in a hospital clinic setting was it was easier for the insurance to cover them. Those were the three places that had the least problem. That's all I'm saying. Other places they probably do excellent too. Remember, we don't have Long Island College Hospital anymore. That's where my son used to get his hearing. So please don't yell at me. I am telling you what we did for what we knew that was in clinic type settings because it's easier to get the social workers in there to help you get the insurance and keep it to get it. That's all I'm saying. Okay. And yes, don't worry. You will have the advisory councils completely advocating, and we're training our younger families to learn how to advocate, but also that if they see something wrong with their IEPs or they don't think they're getting the right services, how to appeal.
Yeah,
through-
that's a big one.
Yeah,
The-
we had
the
Chris
teacher-
Truber, and we're going to ask him to come back.
Great. And the teacher poaching problem is real, and we're working with the city on that. I know Chris is. Chris Trieber.
Yeah, I know, because every time I say Chris, everyone goes, huh, what? Yeah.
Not me, guys. I know I know you're talking the Chris Tree, but the education Chris. I'm transit Chris.
That's right.
Yeah, but there's two
Joyce,
T's too. Okay. But
Any
Joyce,
other
thank you,
I know-
Winnie.
questions,
Don't worry.
guys? I have 4 minutes.
that's what I'm saying, Joyce.
Yes, thank you so much, Winnie. I'm sorry, but I'm having technical difficulties, so I might be going in and out or losing you altogether.
Oh,
But thank you so much for coming and giving us this great budget. We really appreciate it, and we know that I'm involved with you and some of the other agencies and lobbying. And yesterday we met with Senator Mannion, and he was phenomenal.
Ah.
Um,
we're in such good hands this year. It's really it's a different year. I'll put it that way.
it's refreshing, and being in the field for so long and the last 10 years with no really increases and seeing our services diminish. Hopefully we're on the upswing again.
I gave a thumbs up. You might not have seen if you're on the phone.
Agreed, and I'm thanking every legislator and the governor for this budget.
Feel free, because they really are all behind us. It's an amazing situation.
Yes.
Yeah,
Anybody
Winnie.
else? Yes.
Yeah, Winnie. I have questions here on the chat. I'm going to be reading this quickly to you.
Okay.
So this is actually an easy one for you because they're all the same questions, so it's all in one. Since this budget is doing really well, what do you want? This is what the families are asking. What do you want them to do now to remind these state officials?
So if you talk to your local legislators, you can tell them that you want to keep all of the good funding for our programs that the governor proposed in the budget. And that's really the simple message. We're nuancing things, asking for different parameters on the bonuses and some other stuff that, ongoing conversations are taking place. But for OPW, it's keep it all in. We want the COLA to stay just like it is in the governor's budget. And we're grateful for it. And we hope that we get COLAs every single year going forward.
And those were actually 4 questions I just did in one shot.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah,
so that was
reach out to your local legislators, absolutely. And if you have the ability to do Zoom, and obviously you do because you're on this Ring Central with us, you can have Zoom meetings with them. They're very open to that. All of our Lobby Day meetings are on Zoom.
Winnie, just for the record, just to let you know, and this is Chris saying this, we do have one representative here, Assemblywoman Matilda Anthony. I can't say his last name with Batista. He's here as well. So I just want to let you know.
Fantastic. Welcome, and thank you so much for your support.
Mm-hmm. And we'll let him speak. We're going to let him speak after the subcommittee reports, because in case any other elected officials have anything they want to add, I don't know they're here because they didn't put their names or their titles in the chat. But I will say, I know you have to run, but I remind everyone, you have a question for Winnie or anyone from IEC, please let the both chairs know so together they can give you guys the questions being forward and the answer to the antidote. But I agree.
That works. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. So
Thank
Winnie,
you, everybody.
Winnie, we'll see you next time in our sign episode of the IEC. Who'll be coming next month?
Thank you, Winnie.
Thank you, Winnie.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
So Joyce, I am now it's up to you, Joyce. Moving on to the DD Council Chairperson's report. I give you Joyce Levin. Oh, that was Joyce, you there?
Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I'm still having some technical difficulty.
No, Joyce, you're loud and clear.
I'd like to remind everybody that Friday, March 4th, is the 5-borough virtual legislative. We're still having it virtually this year. Hopefully next year we could be back from 10 to 12. We will be having Acting Commissioner Kerry Neifeld speaking. He will be speaking as well. They are our champions in the state and assembly legislatures for our programs and our services, which is wonderful. We'll be covering the 5, each borough will be covering different topics. They include clinical services, self-direction, housing, day programs, and employment. And all of the boroughs will be focusing on the workforce crisis, which continues to be a crisis throughout New York State. Upstate, they had to close several group homes because they couldn't staff them anymore. And we hope that never happens downstate. But it's really a crisis coming. We hope that with the some of the bonuses coming and some of the COLAs coming, that the salaries for direct care will increase and will make this more than a minimum wage job. And because right now somebody could go work at Target and probably make more money than working in a group home. And that never used to be like that. So we have to get above that. And we're hoping with the support from the legislature that we will be able to do that. So that's my big push is for the breakfast. The login information or the registration will be sent out probably by tomorrow. Our planning committee is meeting this afternoon, just reviewing the registration material, and that will be coming out, like I said, by tomorrow. There's one central registration. Last year we had each borough do it, but this year it's central, and it's being handled by Pat Barrientos from CUSAC. Once he receives it, he will then send the login information, I think by the 28th of February. So everybody should have the information well before the meeting. And if you don't, then you can, contact him, contact me, and we'll make sure people get the login information. So please join us on that date. And that's really our focus. This month we're meeting with legislators, with IAC, with Winnie. There's different groups meeting. And we did meet with Senator Mannion yesterday, and he's just such a wonderful champion for our services and really understands the needs of our individuals, which is great, and what services are needed. So we'll have other meetings throughout the next week or so with other legislators as well, and trying to get their support. So, any questions?
Joyce, it's Chris. There is some questions on the chat.
Okay.
But before I do that, Joyce, just to remind everyone, the information will also be available on our website, which is on that leaflet. So I thank you, Joyce, for putting that on the leaflet. Once we get that code, I will let everyone know. So I will say to everyone, you will definitely get it. It will be also on the advisory council's email. So when you email us, you get a message right back at you with the link. Once the link is ready, I will definitely let you know. But I'm going to remind everyone that the website does get updated every Saturday. So please, I will discuss that later on. But getting to the questions on the chat, Joyce, This is one question. I am glad that we're doing one RSVP because last year it caused me a lot of stress to register in. It is about time that it's not on the chat there, Janice Davis. It's on the private end. So I'm reading it here. I'm just glad that it is there to make it simple and make it ADA safe for me because it was very difficult and very stressful and not very respectful to me. This person is a individual, Joyce. Just letting you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Joyce, do you want to answer that question?
To register and then log in.
Can you repeat that again? Because you went out again. And you're not on the phone link. Oh, Joyce, you're not using your phone link. That's why. *6 pound. I'm sorry. *6. I'll give you a boost. There you go, Joyce.
Okay.
Oh, you sound very clear now.
So like I said, I'm glad it's going to be easier for you to log in. And, Spanish and Mandarin interpretation and language interpretation as well.
Thank God you said that on the chat, Joyce. Okay.
Other questions?
That was the main question.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. But don't mute yet because we got to move on to the next piece. Just to remind everyone that the next meeting is the 4th Wednesday in March. Yeah, thank you, Joyce. There's an echo coming in. Hold on. And to remind everyone, the next joint meeting of both councils will be on March 23rd, which will be back to the 4th Wednesday, because there's no holiday, folks. So we don't have to worry. And yes, Passover is late this year, so you don't have to worry. March 23rd. And you don't have to write it because it will be going on to the website again and again and on the email again. Getting on to the subcommittee's report. That goes right back to Joyce Levin. Joyce, you want to say anything on the subcommittees? Joyce? Decide which one you want to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay. Well, we have Rose Sauls from the Information Right Committee.
And Deborah Grubb, who's co-chair. Rose couldn't be here, so Deborah will be doing her part in a few minutes. But there was a question just came in now. What is going on with Children's Committee and Transition Meet?
Well, Children's Committee, both Children's Committee and Transition Committee, the two people that chair those committees both work at schools. Classrooms and in the schools, so that it's been very difficult for them to meet. Hopefully in March.
I'm sorry, Joyce. Someone's interrupting, and I gotta keep that one microphone on.
Okay.
One person's got to speak. Joyce was speaking. I gotta keep the microphones on mute. Wait. Thank you, Joyce. Can you repeat that again? Because we got interrupted. Because you were going in and out, and then the microphone got interrupted.
So let Carrie speak.
Okay, Carrie.
Hi.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yes, we've had a difficult time meeting the two committees, the Transition Committee and the Children's Services Committee. And I can't tell you just how stressed out the members of both of those committees are. And yet we have managed to pull together some events. And one of them is tonight at 5 o'clock before the Geraldo Rivera documentary that everybody's been talking about and is so excited about. At 5 o'clock, we have an overview of the transition process for individuals with developmental disabilities. So the workshop is actually for the students, right? And we're very excited about this. Include NYC is partnering with us, and they have reworked their sort of standard workshop on transition planning so that it meets the needs of individuals with developmental disabilities. So I'll put my email in chat, and you can reach out to me if you would like a link to that. The transition committee is no, not that one, sorry. The Children's Services Committee has a workshop on March 30th. It's an overview of the IEP process. We want families to, it's a very difficult process. It was before the pandemic, and it's even more so now. So this will just provide an overview for families of how to navigate that process. So again, while we've been struggling to meet, we have been discussing and working out some things, and this is what we've got so far. So let me know if you have any questions, and I apologize for going on mic early.
I didn't say someone's name. That's why I try not to say names.
No, that was me. I was just wanting to let people know I had reports from those two committees.
But yeah, because I was reading a question that what Joyce was answering. That's why I wasn't worried. I got you, Joyce. Before I get to Deborah, Carrie, I'll actually give me a second because I'm going to look at this chat. Deborah, can you go? Then after that question on chat, then we'll move on to the provided information.
Okay, Carrie. One, who's doing tonight? Who's doing who is explaining transitioning to students?
Include NYC has reworked. Neil is doing it. They have reworked their traditional workshop so that it meets the needs of students with developmental disabilities, or some of them. It's not going to meet everybody's needs, obviously, but and we have several teachers are bringing their classes.
But no, legally a parent's supposed to be there.
And parents are, of course, welcome, and we've asked them to be.
Please, okay. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Number two. Wait, not done. Number two. Who's doing the children's IEP in March 30th?
I don't have the speaker nailed down for that, but it will be Include NYC.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The Children's Services Committee, by the way, is also sponsoring another workshop in May with YAI, and this is on, it's an overview of autism and services for students with autism, and it will be in Spanish. We'll provide English interpretation, but the workshop itself will be in Spanish. So that's on May 11th, and you'll hear more about that coming up. But you mentioned we had some Spanish speakers on the line today, and I just wanted to get that out there.
Carrie, that other question that you just mentioned, they're saying muchas gracias, but I'm saying thank you to you. In one way, Carrie, the question was already answered. It was from Deborah. It wasn't from Deborah, but it was from that group. The group is saying thank you, both ladies, because it's nice to see that you guys are strong and advocating. This is also for Joyce Levin as well. They're saying thank you. Carrie, can you please put on the chat your information, because they are very fascinating about the workshop you're talking about that's coming up, and they do glad that the last workshop you mentioned last month, as well as Ms. Greif mentioned, they really did enjoy it because they said it's so active in this borough. They're saying other boroughs, it feels like, well, I'm not saying which borough, so please don't kill me, anyone. I didn't say which borough, but the other boroughs, they said I'm falling asleep. I'm reading what it says, so please don't quote me. I'm lying. I'm telling you guys the truth. I never heard that before. So that's one thing. Second question. Include Library. is located in all parts of Brooklyn still? Are they open the other locations?
I'm not sure I understand that question.
The
Include,
question, okay, you have one in Grand Army Plaza, right?
yeah,
Other location libraries. If I want to go to East New York, Bay Ridge, downtown Brooklyn, Windsor Terrace.
I've got it. I think I get it now. So there are two things going on. First of all of Brooklyn Public Libraries branches are open, though there are some closures for renovations and actually lack of heat at one or two branches. But inclusive service, but the library is not yet doing in-person programming, right? So we are hoping to roll it out for adults soon, but not for children. So inclusive services, our programming is going to continue to be virtual for the foreseeable future. And that's including our workshops and also our, our things like our one-to-one assistance. That's going to continue to be virtual. That one's on the phone. And we are still doing some programming, some recreational programming, our concerts twice a month on Saturdays, and I'll put that information in the chat, and also our garden adventures program. As we move forward, we are hoping to return to in-person programming, but it needs to be safe, and it particularly needs to be safe for children who have who have lower vaccination rates. And at Inclusive Services, of course, many of the children that we serve are more vulnerable than typically developing children to COVID. So we will be very careful about restarting in-person programs. And why I'm saying that, Chris, is because we are not doing programs at any libraries. Inclusive Services is not doing programs at any libraries in the system right now, but we hope to soon. But do check us out online. I put my email address and phone number in the chat. I'll put our website in the chat, and just keeping our fingers crossed that we can go forward. But when we do, I have to say, I think we're going to be keeping some of the virtual. We'll be adding in-person programs. So we will be keeping some of the virtual programs that have been successful, like virtual workshops. We'll probably be keeping those because they've been well attended and people seem to like them. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to, since there's no other questions, no hand raised, I'm going to move on to the next subcommittee report that will be provided information. Deborah, co-chair with Rose South, that committee. Deborah?
Sure. Okay, Rose and I met this past, give me 1 second. It was
February 9th.
9th. Well, what we did was we were explaining to the providers with and families how to get the information off the OPWDD website. And why did we do that is I do get families saying they get mixed up and they constantly say it to us. So I said, and then I realized that maybe also the care coordinators may be also overwhelmed. It's not an easy job being a care coordinator. So we worked with them to show them where to look, what to do, how to assist them if there's also issues with the front door. We explained, how remind the families that you don't always have to have Medicaid. I'm talking about for children under age 21, really 18, that you don't have to get Medicaid to have family support service. You just have to be OPWDD eligible. And it was very well received. Now, one of the other subjects we will be discussing is guardianship, and I forgot the second. Sorry, I have a lot on my plate, but the next meeting though will be March 9th, as you see, and we will have we believe we'll have a speaker. As soon as I get the information, we will put it on the advisory council website so that everybody will have it. And we do hope, please, families who are listening, please ask your care coordinators to come to this meeting so they can get the information and assist you. And please, families, please come. We look forward to having everyone. As you see, it's on March. We ask you to get at 9:30 so we can start on time. And Rosal's apologizes she couldn't be here today, but we've been able to work together, and we've been able to really open up and have families and the professionals understand what help and services and where to look for it, so families can get the help without worry. Where do I look? What do I do? So it's a smoother transitional type process. So that's all I have to say.
There is one thing you left out, Ms. Greif, is that
Yes.
remind everyone this is a coach. They're both co-chairs. Roselle represents the provider. Deborah represents the family.
That's
I
true.
want to make just to answer that. Rose and Deborah has been getting a lot of good speakers. Attendance has been going very well. But I like to remind all our families and agencies, including represented elected officials, are all here. Please try to attend. And I want to thank Carrie because her staff does attend that meeting as well. And that still shares information. So I want to say thank you, not just, who does show up, not just, include library, but some agencies do attend and some elected officials do attend. I do thank you. But we remind everyone, it's for everyone to come.
Yes, and I want to add on
to know the
three care
information.
coordination organizations. PHP and Care Design usually attend, and also Tri-County. I hope ACA will also be there too. We want every agency that does care coordination, and also agencies who used to do when it was Medicaid service coordination and non-Medicaid, to please come also, because we need to make sure the care coordinators who are working with their families know of all the wonderful services that you other agencies do have. Our families need to know that, as well as our care coordinators, because their job is to help find appropriate help and services for our families. So we'd appreciate if you all could be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. And since I'm just going to double check before we proceed, because there's something came into the chat. Just want to check. Because two things came in the chat. One private. Oh, no, it was just Carrie. Carrie's information is there, so folks, please get some of that information. Ms. Greif, there is a question for you for provider information just popped in. Ms. Greif, I was at your meeting last month, and I wanted to say here, because you don't get enough. I'm telling, this is an individual, so please, I'm not making this up. I'm reading what he's saying. I was at your meeting last month, and I have to say, it is nice to see you as a parent and Rosa as a provider giving us the information breakdown of what is OPWD services. Thank you for breaking it down for me and my mother and my baby sister. It really helps me to know that Brooklyn is active. I can go to this borough and getting the right services for me. I want to say thank you so much. I'm getting emotional.
Okay, I want to say you're very, very
One second. Let me finish.
Okay.
I am a little, because he did spelled it wrong, so please ignore it on the chat, on the thing. But Ms. Greif, go ahead. And you're muted. I didn't touch you.
Oh, hey, to that dear young individual and your family, you're very welcome. There's something important I should add. When I first came into the field, everyone's talking to me in acronyms. And they've done this also, of course, in the schools and other things. And I, after a while, said, I thankfully, I'm going to give a name from the past. Dalton Haskins got me a whole page, 1 or 2 pages that listed what the acronyms meant. Was it a big help? Oh, you bet it was. So what I realized, I said, wait, stop. So when I would say, I would break it down to make sure, no, not talking down to anyone, but not everyone's going to understand what a BDDRO is. So I said it stands for the Brooklyn Developmental Disabilities Regional Office. Then I said, I also gave them the acronyms for certain other services or help. Some agencies, I can't break it completely down because the acronym is actually the agency's name. But it was my pleasure to break it down because you know what? it can be very overwhelming and you're trying to understand. So I'm going to ask everybody, whether you're a parent professional, let's sometimes make sure that our audience is understanding our acronyms, because I want to make sure that the families, because we need the families to know what's going on. This is services for them and their families. So that's why I did what I did, and you're very welcome, and we will continue to do that because it's an extremely important thing. And I apologize in the past if I didn't do it, but you know what? Sometimes when you're doing 3 things at once, and sometimes it's 4, you do forget, but I will make sure I do not forget. And I will also figure out how to set up, if we can do an updated list eventually of what some of the acronyms mean, and then have it on the website. And sometimes we'll just be able to email it out if possible, but it'll take a little while. You know, translating acronyms is not easy. But if you're not sure of what an acronym or something means, put it in the chat or email us and tell us, I didn't understand what, please let me know the day of the meeting so I can go back and check, so I can make help you understand what was said. And I'm saying this also to all my other fellow chairs and co-chairs. Thank you so much. All right, Chris?
Yes, thank you. The next question is that has came up. They did mention about, can we get a presentation about self-direction on the committee? And I think that answer is we are going to be planning on getting someone.
Yes, we will. Because self-direction is, well, we will be doing this after the date when you hear of the our 5-borough legislative event. But I also will make sure that when it comes to the difference between, I know there's some information up on the OPWDD website. I will make sure that links are placed so that you can eventually, we can connect and you can understand. By the way, to become a broker, there are trainings. Now everything's being done virtually. But I also would suggest OPWDD has videos that you can watch so you can understand the basics of what is broker service. Now, I will tell you this, being on the statewide, a lot of my fellow members live in rural areas, and they became brokers because they needed to make sure their family member was getting the service. And by becoming the broker, they were able to be in charge. And let me tell you something, it's a lot of hard work. Oh, trust me, I took the training and I was like, I don't know if I can handle or do this correctly. But they did it because, you see, I have services down in New York City, Brooklyn, New York, but they don't. I have families who live up in the North Country, not far from the Canadian border, going, and you can see Vermont from some of the highways, or we have them also in the central part of the state. So they explained to me why they did it. And you don't have to live at home. Your child can be living in a residential certified setting and still get the self-direction. First of all, I'm not telling you how and when how it's done, because you have to really go on the website and look at the videos. Also see if there are videos on YouTube about self-direction or how things have been working, and keep watching to decide if you think this is the appropriate service for your family. Any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm muting.
Okay, moving on. I know we had a representative from Assemblywoman Matilda. Anthony, you still there with me?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I am. I'm here. The Assemblywoman sends her regards. She's sorry she wasn't able to attend, but I'm taking in all the information. And if anybody has any questions, feel free and send it to me via email, and I'm gonna put my phone number there as well. Hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Anthony. Before
Anthony,
we
Sister
proceed-
Deborah, thank you very much. Semi-recorded.
Will do. Will do.
Since
Thank you.
Deborah has one question, did Joyce? Do you have a question for the representative?
No, Chris, thank you.
Just want to make sure. Okay. Any other representative elected officials here today? Because I know we have. Okay. Going once, going twice. Okay. If you have any questions for Anthony, which I'm looking at the chat, so you check Anthony. Okay. It is not okay. The answer to that question has nothing to do with me. It has to do with your end. Because I want to remind everyone, if your Wi-Fi goes in and out, that means there might be a power issue. Because I know yesterday Zoom was acting up the same way. So let me remind everyone, I have no control of Wi-Fi or the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint system is working just fine. I'm at full power. So the Wi-Fi is working fine. But I remind everyone, if your Wi-Fi is acting up, it might be on your end, not mine. Ms. Grife, you can hear me. Joyce, you can hear me loud and clear.
I hear you very clearly, and I will tell you, I'm going to give everyone a major tip. If where you are at this moment, you get a phone call from Con Edison or any of the other like Verizon, Spectrum, Cablevision that they're working in your area, expect issues with Wi-Fi because they're touching wires, and sometimes they're not very careful and they mess up the other type wires that are maybe underground or above. So please, if you notice that thing and you're having issues with your Wi-Fi, call them and complain and let the elected officials know you're having issues with Wi-Fi.
Okay. I see we have another person from iPad. Please identify yourself. Is you a representing elected official?
Good morning. This is Charlene Batts. I'm from Assemblywoman Matilda Frontis office.
Oh, we got two.
Yes. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I was here. Thank you so much. This information was great. The Assemblywoman is in recovery, so she's not able to make it. So we do bring greetings, as my colleague said. And our offices are back open. We were closed for a bit due to the high numbers, but we are now back open and providing services as needed. So please, please, please let all know to feel free to reach out to us should they need anything. Thank you,
Thank
Chris.
you. And please tell her to feel better. We miss her.
I most certainly will. And she misses you guys.
And
Okay.
thank you also. Any elected official that comes on, please tell her we thank her for voting for positive for the budget because it was really important. OPWDD for the last 10 years was being shortchanged down. Not blaming her. I'm blaming the previous governor. And yes, if I get in trouble, don't care. I'm used to it by now. But I want to thank you because I tell everybody, thank your elected officials and they let the staff know how much you appreciate it, especially when the budget. And please have them keep the early intervention in the preschools regularly in the budget because, if you don't see that the youngest children are well taught and helped, that's like you're shortchanging. It's like you're building houses, you're shortchanging us. So please advocate for that. Thank you.
Most certainly will. Most certainly will. Everyone stay well and safe.
Thank you. Oops, where am I? Nope, wrong. Okay. Chris, anything else? Hello, Chris. You there?
I said,
now I hear you. You're going in and out. Oh boy.
the phone now wants to work. There we go. Ms. Grife, you got to mute because when three microphones are on, it does interrupt.
No problem.
Thank you. That's another way of doing it. Okay, folks, we want to thank our representatives who are here today. Let me move on. on our agenda, as we're running really good today. So let me get to my PowerPoint. Thank you. Let's give out some outreach update because Deborah's going to say her piece on this piece in a minute. As you see, the little lovely new colors I put up, because today is not just one anniversary, we're also celebrating a second anniversary, which I'm using a little fireworks moment here. So let me say this. Happy 6-year anniversary to the Brooklyn Family Support Service Advisory Council website. It is now the 6-year anniversary today. As you know, the website has been running for 6 years and it has not crashed. Deborah, you want to add anything?
Certainly. First of all, I want to thank everybody at the Brooklyn Deed Bureau who gave us the green light to go ahead. That includes the Family Support Coordinator, Angela Blades, who said she knew that since we knew how technically advanced on the computer Chris can be. We appreciate this very much. And by the way, I got major compliments regularly from Albany because they love the fact that, one, we use our website to spread good information, but we also connect the families to the OPWDD website, but we also let them know what went in New York City, our developmental disabilities councils in all the 5 boroughs, as well as our advisory councils. We let them know. We try to let you know, like, if anything's coming up. So it's really, we're so happy. We're happy because we love to be able to share the information and help. And we try to make it user friendly. And we're trying to work on it to make sure that it's also truly accessible. Remember, we are constantly working with Ring Central. I'm going to also tell you that both Ring Central as well as Zoom and the others were forced to learn to work and improve it to make them more accessible. So please, it's very, very important that we have this. I ask everybody, remember, if you want your information, please, that's updated, please send it to us the way Chris has asked. We also do let you know about information for the Half Fair MetroCard. We also give you the link to go to the New York City Fair Fairs, because New York City Fair Fairs is not a New York City MTA program. It is from New York City, and Mayor Adams has increased the funding. So yes, and we will also, as I said, we try to list all the agencies, but with this, I just want to say thank you everyone for being supportive. Chris, take it away. Joyce, anybody, go ahead.
No, I'll just say that this is an anniversary. It's already on our Facebook as well as on our website as well. So let me just move on to the best part. As you see my wiggle. We also have something new that came up. We do have now, finally, thanks to our governor today, appointed not just OP, but New York State new Chief of Disability Officer. Her name is Kimberly T. Hill, who was appointed by the New York State, as I just said, the title. As you see, the commissioner was really pleased, and a lot of elected officials, and I know Matilda's office also said something as well. So we do want to thank a lot of our elected officials who did put their comments in the press release, which is all located here on this website, which you can also go on to the governor's website. Just type in NYS governor. So we do want to welcome her, and we might get a chance to see her coming soon. Let's just give her a chance to get her roots together and the ship. Or should I say the USS New York ship. All right. As Joyce mentioned before, please save the date for the 5-borough legislative breakfast. The information will be available on our website as well as on all the 4 boroughs' websites. So please, more details will be coming in, but please save the date for March 4th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. So please make sure you save that. Also, I'm going to remind everyone, the Advisory Council Outreach Update will not be meeting on the first Wednesday, because since we have the 5-borough legislative event coming up, I will say this, please save the date for March of 2022. We will have a special speaker to be announced coming soon. And that's not the President of the United States. It is not Andy Byford, and I'm not going to say who it is because it might not be true or false. And I don't want anyone yelling at me. So I'm moving on. And this is a reminder to everyone. Mass Force coming up February 23rd. And I remind everyone, please get some volunteers to do the Mass Force on the other boroughs. Yes, we still have some Brooklyn openings. We're getting full in Brooklyn right now. So Coney Island is one of them, which now you see, yes, I will be a team leader. Yes, I'll be celebrating my 1-year anniversary as I got Mass Force to Coney Island. But now we have to move on to making sure that everyone still has to wear a washable mask. And remind everyone, if you have a severe asthma or heart condition, you cannot wear the paper mask. Washable masks are still available at the train station booths. If you're having a problem getting the children's sizes, please let the MTA know immediately on that. So please make sure. We are still looking for volunteers in the borough of Manhattan, Atlantic, Queens, and one place in Staten Island, which is St. George Terminal.
Hello, Chris. Can you hear me?
Excuse me, interruption is not supposed to be interrupting when I'm speaking. Please mute yourself. Please identify yourself and mute. That is very, as I'm giving out my report, we got to remind everyone. Please mute. And please use the chat if you have a question as I finish. As a reminder, everyone, so please make sure. And as Deborah mentioned, the website, please check please check our website. We have some new updates for OPWDP. Okay, I'm going to remind anyone that is being very disrespectful, who's interrupting me again. Please mute yourself. And the reason I'm muting you because I'm speaking and it's very disrespectful. I can hear everyone, but I'm going to remind everyone, the reason why the systems acts up is interruption on the microphone. Please do not interrupt when I'm speaking. It's very rude and it's out of order. I can hear, I have another camera next, I have another one that causes an echo. Co-hosters, please check, make sure he's not interrupting me. Again, let me remind everyone, our website has update with OPW information, and it is very important that you please get a chance to look at an OPW page. I do get a lot of new information that comes in between COVID, vaccine, where you can get vaccine shots, as well as how to get the COVID testing, not in just outside, but at train stations and other places. Please make sure you do that as well. So please make sure you visit our website. If you have an opening, it's nice to see you putting in the chat, but I remind you, please email it to us no later than this Friday, because it is very important that you remind everyone that you please put that in, so therefore I can update your information. Now, note, some of your information that some of the agencies have is still the same. I don't have to put the same thing in, but I need to make that very clear on that. So if you have any other questions, please give me a second as I move on, because Joyce Levin, Joyce, do you have a question?
No, Chris, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, just want to make sure. Does anyone else have any questions on my report? And whoever interrupted can please raise your hands, because you do have the hand function. Okay, I'm reading the chat question because it just popped up. And as everyone, please get ready for announcements. I will be doing that in just a second. Okay, remind everyone, because I know I got interrupted. They're asking me this question again. Yes, Mass Force is available. You can go on, and I will put the screen back up, reverse, because that's when, okay. You can also automatically type in MTA Mass Force. Please make sure you do that. They're located in all 5 boroughs. Right now, Bronx is only doing, because you're asking this question, the Bronx is doing only at 180th Street, and the border will also be 168 on the ACM1 at this time. Right now, since Mass Force is next Wednesday, the 23rd, you can check their schedule. and see which one you can do. And I will note that this is only during the rush hour times, not during the midday. Okay, since that's it. And to remind you that information is also available on the MTA website, which you can say again, Mass Force Mass Force is also available if you type it in. And don't forget to visit our website as well. Since there's no other questions, does anyone else have an announcement? Or before I proceed, does anyone have any questions for me on the report? At this time right now, we're up to announcements. So therefore, let me check. Who has an announcement? Please raise your hand. Okay, open chat. Nice to know you guys are putting it on the chat, but I will remind you that chat is also one, but we do need to see your hand raised so I know I can identify you. Or do I have to come look for you all? Okay, let me check. No one has any announcements. I'm a little disturbed here because guys, are you guys listening or? Oh, here we go. Thank you. MWILCOX, and it's from Adapt. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yes, this is Melissa Wilcox, the Rental Subsidy Director at Adapt Community Network. I just wanted to let everyone know that we have residential openings available, day hab openings available, housing assistance services are available, our overnight respite is open. We have EMODS monies available in certain boroughs, family reimbursement, community rehabilitation, and the rental subsidy services are all open. So if anyone is in need of services, please reach out to us at Project Connect at adaptcommunitynetwork.org, or they can call us on our Project Connect hotline at 1-877-827-2666. Thank you.
Thank you. And please, and just to remind you, please put that into the email address also, so therefore it will then go onto the website.
I certainly will. Thank you.
No problem. Sandy Neighbor. Sandy Neighbor.
Good morning, everybody. Do you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Great. Okay, I just wanted to let you know that Adapt Community Network has two very exciting webinars that are free coming up. The first one is going to be on Tuesday, March 8th, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's called Advocating at the IEP Meeting, Strategies for Success, What Every Parent Needs to Know. And guess who our speaker will be? It's going to be Christopher Trieber from IAC. And everybody is very well aware of Chris's expertise. He's going to talk about the IEP process and will give parents and caretakers strategies on how to get the most out of the IEP for their children. And the next one that's coming up is going to be on March 31st. It's going to be called Specially Designed Instructions for Families. It's going to be March 31st from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Our speakers will be from Include New York City, and parents and professionals will learn about specially designed instruction, SDI, and how families may work with their child's teacher and the Committee on Special Education team to select and use SDI to meet their child's needs. Spanish and Mandarin interpretation will be provided for this workshop. And to register for both workshops, email familyconnect@adaptcommunitynetwork.org or call 718-436-7979, extension 704. Thanks very much. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Sandy. Let's move on to anyone else have an announcement, or do I have to call everyone? I don't like calling people. I like to see. Okay, Karen with REID. You can please unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Karen Reed from New York Fowland. Just wanted to announce that New York Fowland does have residential vacancies available in Brooklyn, several residential vacancies. We also have opportunities for DayHab, Community Hab, and Employment Services. Please feel free to reach out to us at 212-886-4020 or at BERI_team, TEAM, at newyorkfowland.org. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to remind you, Karen, please make sure you put that information onto the email, please, so therefore it goes added to the website.
Will do.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, coordinator from Personal Central Care Service. Thank you. No announcement. Thank you. That makes my job very easy. That's Taurus. Okay. Matthew, hello from HRC. I'm trying to keep track, and I gotta see. Anyone from C? I know I've seen Care Design. Is anyone here from Care Design? Or ACA? Or Tri-County? Any of the three CCOs are here. Can you please identify yourselves? Okay, so since all the three CCOs have left or disappeared, let me go to Wayne from My Time Inc. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, but why are you screaming so loud? There's an echo in your office.
I was having problems. I just want to know if you can hear me. We don't have any announcements yet, but after we moved, I can't say this is a new location because it's almost a year since we moved to our new office, 640 Parkside Avenue, between Nelson and Rogers. We are supporting the parents. We have our Zoom meetings Monday and Wednesday from 7 to 9. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 7 to 9. That's about it, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you. Okay, since no one else has an announcement or they're putting it on the chat, I thank you. But I welcome everyone. Thank you, everyone who is here. Since no one else has an announcement, I'm just going to double check for the last time. Let's just check. Okay, since no one else has an announcement or has not said anything,
Chris?
yes,
I'm raising my hand.
go ahead.
All right. Since nobody else is, I have a major announcement. I want to make sure everybody comes to the 5-borough legislative event. Please register. Please let your families know. Contact all your local elected officials, whether they're from city council, state assembly, state senate, as well as our public advocate, our president, our controller, as well as our mayor, and also our 2 United States senators, invite them to please send representatives to participate. The more people who contact them through email or any social media will be very helpful for us. So I'm going to ask everybody to please do that. Thank you all. And also, we look forward to seeing you all in our next month's subcommittee meetings, as well as our next joint meeting. Okay?
And ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, the next joint meeting of both councils is the fourth Wednesday, which is March 23rd. And I do see someone popping in, Cliff Davies.
Cliff, do you have something you want to add in? I saw you.
I like it this way better. You look better this way.
Hi, Cliff. You want to say something?
Well, I just want to say what a great job you guys did today on our end. And I will take responsibility on behalf of New York City that we did not have the greatest connection. So we switched and now you guys are on my phone. So hi. I do have a gigantic announcement.
Go ahead.
Who's chiming in? Anyway, you know that Carly Overduck, the right hand to the ACS Developmental Disabilities Unit and yours truly, she's here and she has a tremendous announcement that she wants to make also, because we have someone very, very special joined our team.
We have an intern that will be working with us for several months. His name is Jacob. So he is here for the first time to attend the meeting with us today. So Jacob's joining us. He's with the NYU policy program student. And so he will be with us for a few months.
Yeah, and we're gonna use his skills to help our families better connect, with care coordinators, and we're going to use his brain to create some kinds of tools that are going to be very, very useful throughout ACS and throughout our borough offices and throughout all of our stakeholders, so that we can help use it as a tool to help bridge a gap between our families and the help that they need. So that's a big thing, and we're very, very happy to have him. We made a big deal when he came here for the first time, and I think we left an impression on him. I think he left an impression on us. So I just wanted to welcome him on board and to let everybody know how proud we are to have him.
Yeah, we appreciate him joining our team.
Yeah.
Well,
and I know that Chris had.
You forgot one important thing before you do anything else. Not just the care coordinators. You need to make sure he makes connection to all 5 advisory councils and as well as the PD councils, because by doing that, he will help us make sure that, and there's one other important thing, needs to inform families and help them understand ACS is not in the business till we take your child away, that we have there's a lot of children's services that are there. I would appreciate that would be a big help. And in multi-languages.
If we could ever share one message and repeat it, is that ACS really, really has no interest other than the what's given to us by the laws of the state of New York. Our biggest goal is to strengthen families. Our biggest goal is to support families. So when people, listen, everybody gets, I guess, some bad publicity here and again, but for my friends in the field of developmental disabilities, they know what I'm about. They know what the ACS team is about, and they know that we do our best to step in and support families. So I would say 99.9% of my time is about training people about the supports that exist and trying to link and refer people who are struggling with the help that we know exists. I think a big part of the problems of New York City are that we have families that are unaware of the supports and services that exist. The way to link with supports and services is often overly complicated for our families. And I think also we have families, if you come from a culture like I come from, maybe you're private and you don't really ever like to ask for help. So what we try to do is we just try to help the families that come across our path and leave them better than we found them. So that's a big part of who we are. And if you ever should need, please feel free to reach out. We have partners throughout New York City in disciplines, from domestic violence to substance abuse to mental health, to education support, homemaking, and family home care. We have all kinds of supports and services for our families who are struggling. So that's really my big announcement. And I just keep, and I don't come to these meetings as often as I would like to, but I know what a great job Deborah, Chris, Joyce do, and you can always reach out, and I know that they do. So whenever there's a need, I know that the Brooklyn Family Support folks and the Brooklyn DD Council can always reach out to me, and they know that too. So with that, I will say, awesome job, and we'll see you again very, very soon.
Thank you.
And I hope I wasn't muted.
Yes, Cliff, this is Chris. Just letting you know, Joyce is saying thanks for your support.
Oh, she's very sweet.
Yeah. Thank you, Cliff. I'm going to say thank you, ACS, because if I say, and Kari, and forgive me, I got to say his name, but
Jacob.
Don't
Jacob.
No, you got to realize I had trouble seeing the screen for a second because I have my other screen on. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Carly and Cliff. And Jacob will work with you the best. We can help you with a lot of information. We'll talk on this. We'll talk on the phones.
Awesome.
Okay. Since now the time is now 12:03, I do want to thank everyone. As Deborah mentioned, the legislative. Please say that date. Remind everyone our next meeting is March 23rd, which is the fourth Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. It will start at 9. As I said before, we try to start at 9:55. That is the meeting on code. So I do want to say on behalf of Joyce and Debbie, you want to say anything to the end? Last words?
Thank you.
No, thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you for coming. We say
Oh,
goodbye.
I like the way you both said that. That's really cool.
We know we're very cool people.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.